don't see the record going. Are we recording?
We are recording.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, we're just so happy to have you to come and be with us on this auspicious day. And I will say that because we have the opportunity to have our coordinators, our tutors, and our learners together, all in one place. And I welcome you all to my house. I don't know how you all got in here, but welcome to the house, you know. But anyhow, we have put together a wonderful program which will give you information. Some you have already heard, some that you will get some new ideas. So with that being said, I say welcome, welcome, and thank you so much for spending your time with us today. You and your community. Alma.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Just remembering, oops, I'm sorry. Just remembering to help people across California growing the good by learning together about issues, voting, and sharing examples of people involved in their communities, coming together as one and not being divided.
This is who is with us today. Guess what? I'm Faye. There's Rosanya, there's Taru, there's Sabrina, there's Linda, there's Susan, and there's William. They all have an important part to play, and so you will hear from all of us. Thank you.
And we have Alma and Phoebe and others. So it'll be a conversation. So even if your photo wasn't there, don't be shy about jumping in.
Key to Community Team and Partner. The Key to Community project is by the community for the community, nonpartisan. Our goal is to help people get information to make up their own minds. This is about voting. We're not going to tell you how to vote. Information and the tools make it easier and better for you so that you can vote.
The Key to Community team just recently launched an expanded version of the website that was contributions from the whole team. We'll show you more of that later, but we just wanted you to know that as you go through the information today, don't feel like you have to remember it all, because you'll be able to find it in all the pages here, plus great resources at the Library Literacy's website.
And the first poll question: have you gotten a ballot in the mail for the November 3rd election? So it'll come up and you answer.
That's one of the poll questions. So Holly's going to launch the poll, and then here's actually all of the questions.
Right.
Linda, do you want to help people with all of the questions? Or they seem to be
Should I go to another question?
Well, so far we have 35% that have taken the poll.
Right. So you can answer all of these. Have you registered to vote? And then the question that Linda read, have you received a ballot in the mail? And then have you decided whether you want to vote with the ballot you got in the mail or in person? And another question is, have you started learning about the candidates and the propositions on the ballot yet? And I have a neighbor who's already voted. You might be one of the people who has already voted. There may not be a lot of them. So you can check all of these that apply to you.
We are at 82%. So let me know when you want me to close it.
Close.
I will close it.
We're good.
Okay, hold on.
Look at that. Oh, wow. 79% got the ballot. Yes. I just got mine yesterday.
Linda, do you want to share what you're seeing?
Oh, sure. I'm excited because our whole family just received all of ours in the mail yesterday, although we're not all living in the same house, just to be safe. But are you registered to vote? 38%, I'm sorry, 88%. Wow. Have you received a ballot in the mail? 79%. Have you decided whether you want to vote with the mailed ballot or in person? 71%. Have you started learning about the candidates and propositions on the ballot? 67%. Last one, very important. Have you already voted? 4%. And I'm one of those 4%. Although I have my ballot yesterday, I'm digesting it. Although I know. That's
Well,
very interesting.
Isn't that a wonderful mix? I think people have landed in the right discussion on the
Yeah.
right timing. We've got our ballots and we got to start digging in and getting ready to vote. So Faye, tell us about the dates.
So here we are. Apparently, most of you have received your ballots, which is good. And on the 19th is the last day for your mail-in ballot. And on the 27th, you can place by October, so you can place your ballot by mail on this day if possible. And then naturally, the election day is the 3rd. However, if you have your ballots today, you can go ahead and vote today. So don't wait till the last minute. Don't get in the lines. Just go and do your part. Your ballot packet, your registered voters gets their ballot in the mail along with instructions and a returned envelope and an I voted sticker. This example is that we see is from Los Angeles, but I just wanted to share that I'm in Sacramento County and I've got my 2 ballots here to vote. I have also what I have here. It tells me I have voted and the way to vote, the ways that I can vote. I got something that I don't know if all of you got it, but I did get a paper that tells me all the places that I can here in Sacramento where I can go and start to drop off my ballots now. So that's a good thing. And my ballot came pink. And when you fill out your ballot, do not sign on the ballot. Sign on whatever color your card that you receive with the X. All righty. And you don't have to have a stamp. And if you make a mistake, cross out the mistake with the X and then circle in the proper one that you want to vote for. Okay?
That's great.
Running for president, so you all write me in. And then there's 3 ways that we can vote that I just said. You can vote in person, you can drop it in a ballot, I mean at a drop place, and then you can also mail your ballot in. Personally, I would say that if you go and drop it somewhere would be much better. We don't know what the mail is doing, but we want our votes to count. So you have 3 options. Get them done as quickly as possible. Taru.
Oh,
So I
Taru, you're on mute. So unmute and then start again.
So Faye gave us a great overview of our ballots. I have a yellow envelope, and then as we get into the process of learning what about the issues on the ballot, Taru's going to tell us about Voter's Edge.
Yeah, my name is Tarusha from Placentia Library, and today I want to talk about Voter Edge website. This is useful, simple, and easy to understand. And this website good place to this website good place to find your information about what is in your ballot. You enter your home address and click on Find My Ballot, and you find your candidate and your measure in your area. And candidate is national level, state level, and local level, and others. And when you click option to compare candidate and their views. You can do that, and you can find their views, different proposition, and their views. And you can click their profile so you can get their experience, what is their education, what is their party, and what is who funding them and who support them. So you can get all information there. And this website has 5 tabs. So home, candidate, info, major, and my choice. So here is voter info is 3 ways. You can in person, you can drop off your ballot in Dropbox, or you can go in person to voter place. And you can and you can find your location and everything. And for me, I choose my candidate this website because this is wonderful website and I love it and I understand this website. So I choose my candidate to find out their information and their priorities, and it's match my priority. I choose them and I click on my choice, and I can find everything on my choice, and I can print that, and that information I put in my ballot. And there is you can see option. You can do location and hours. So you can click there and you can click location, and they show you nearest location, and you can Dropbox, and they can show you Dropbox. So you can click there and they find out how much distance, and they show you your direction too. So it is easy. And major tab that show you proposition, and so I like this website very much, and this is wonderful. And this is a website I understand, and before I don't know anything, but now I understand this website.
Haru, this is so wonderful. You've introduced us to it, and we're going to go through some more discussion, and then we're going to come back and show it in action. So you gave us a fabulous preview.
Thank you, Taru.
Thank
That was
you
wonderful.
so much. Thank you so much.
Voter guide. Is this for Faye? Unmute.
The easy voter guide came out of a group of learners that, as you know, we get this great big thick book and you just don't want to read it. So a few years ago, learners got together how to simplify the language so that it's reader friendly to those with low learner skills. And what you see in this year's Easy Voter Guide, which is available and it's free, some of us on this call are the ones that were co-authors in changing some of the language so that you could understand and be ready to vote. So with the key to community, we've had, I think we had a two-day workshop, and it was very successful. And so if you can't get that, if you don't use the big one, you can use the Easy Voter Guide. But we encourage you to look at both of them, whichever suits you.
Thank you, Faye. And the very interesting thing is the League of Women Voters, who produced the Easy Voter Guide now after library literacy students helped invent it a couple decades ago. They also use those summaries of the state propositions that learners, including Taru this year, helped edit. They use that when she said the summaries of the propositions at Voter's Edge. So this is where the library-based learner leadership is really helping voters across the state. And I'll take a turn with the next slide. So Faye and Rasanya and Taru and others have been helping lead workshops on why vote, sign up to vote, ways to vote, what is on your ballot. And as we land here with make your choices and vote, we also want to recognize that you're getting this information. You're also getting a lot of other information. You might be looking at debates. You might be getting things in the mail. I'm waving up some of the examples. And on the next slide, we're finding that, this is an ad, a cartoon, and I don't know if you can read it, but it's in October, and there's a trick-or-treater all dressed up, and he says, "Wow, great zombie costume, Dad." And the person dressed up as a witch next to him says, "That's no costume," because Dad is just burned out from all the campaign ads, especially the ones that want to go negative. The people telling you what to think and do, polls, this, that, and the other thing. So the thing that, for those of you, I'm Susan Clark, and I've been working on Key to Community and Easy Voter for years because it is so exciting to take the fresh approach of not starting with all that stimulus coming at you, but the way Rasanya speaks about it, and she's going to tell us a healthier way to learn about what's going on in this election. Rasanya.
Whoa, a healthier way. Oh, well.
Wait, William, let's stay on that tree.
So, so what I call it the healthier way, or so voting is, I hate to say this, voting is like a tip of an iceberg, and you may think the tip out of the iceberg is more important. Just like when we look at the roots of the tree, the roots of the tree is what sustain the tree. And then what we look at is the leaves. So we think the leaves is the most important thing because it's right in your face. So think of voting just like that. So voting, you're going to fill out your ballot. You're going to drop that off in the box. That's like the leaves. But the thing that's sustaining your issue is the roots. So I want you to look at it in that way, because not taking away from voting, but if you want to see real change, you got to think about how you do things prior to getting to the ballot. And what do you do after you leave the ballot? Because that's where real change happens. So we want you to really take a moment and think about if you was on a mountain up high and you had a genie and you could only make one wish. Your community, whether your community is a good, clean, healthy community, what can make it better? Whether your community got a lot going on, what can make it better? If you had one wish, what would that be? And that's how I want you to think about what you would like to see change in your community. Let's take a moment and think about that. What kind of change do you want to see happen in your community, where you live at? And so, because that's going to give you the beginning of how you think about who to choose for your elected officials, whether it's the president, whether it's the city council, whether it's your senator. That's how you want to move forward. So we're getting ready to go into a breakout room thinking about this question. What do you want to see change? And that's going to give you the guideline of when you go to the voter edge, when she said who is talking about the same thing you want, your issue, right? Their priorities, right? Because your priorities, and don't think about your family priorities, don't think about your community priorities, don't think about your sister or your wife, your husband. Think about what you care about. Don't be all right whether somebody disagree with you or not. So that's how we want you to think about the next question. What do you want to see happen? What kind of changes you want to see happen in your community? So we're going to go to a breakout room where everybody's divided now. And what you want to do is accept the invitation in the breakout room. When it comes to you, we're going to take 1 minute each to share. And we're going to actually not only share, we're going to actually listen also. Okay. So you're going to share what you care about. And you're also going to turn around and listen to what somebody else care about. Now, tutors, you want to make sure students have a chance to talk, but we're all at this table together. That's what engagement is. We all need to come to the table and learn.
So Susan, how many
So,
rooms?
I don't know if y'all can see it,
Right. So
see it or not. So I'm gonna hand it over to Holly.
Right. I would say, why don't we do 3 per room? So is that 11 rooms?
Yes.
Great.
It's
And
10
I
rooms.
think
We'll
Rasanya was saying we definitely want the learners to have their turn, but tutors are in this together and coordinators. So everybody takes a turn sharing, right?
Yes, right. That's what I mean. So we don't give one person the floor. Everybody's in the room to
get 1 minute
engage in
each.
this process.
Right. And it's not about a political debate. We're not talking about who you want to have elected.
Hello?
Rasanya got us so grounded in the issue, the thing you want to see changed.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Question at the end, I sent it to Holly, if it's all right with you. The question is, how many tutors, coordinators, and learners that we have on? Just to get a,
Great. Did
So is everyone still in the breakout room?
so we did the breakouts. And the next slide.
All right. This is me, Susan?
It is.
Okay, so I typed 2 things in the chat bar, and everyone should have access to their chat bar still. You can pop it up even though we're on full screen. So I put, what did you hear in your breakout rooms? And then what issues are coming up for you? So those are some things just to think about. Because Susan, right, we don't have time to truly share out, right? So we can keep going.
Sadly, but.
Yes, right. I wanted to make that pause, right? Those are things for everyone to think about and take with you for your day and weeks and months and years ahead. So definitely keep the conversation going in your tutoring sessions and conversation clubs. Examples of things you can do. You can write 2 or 3 sentences about what you care about and use that for planning what to pay attention to when you approach your ballot. Have those discussions in those tutoring sessions. Another thing, you can send a message to the people who represent you. You can learn to research, find out who are those people that represent you and reach out to them. Your voice matters. Send your message or question to a candidate to see if their priorities align with your priorities. And share your thoughts about this issue in a text or an email to your friends, your family, your colleagues. You know, the more we share, the more we know and the more we learn. And then think of other ways too, other creative ways to get involved in your community and be part of that change that you want to see.
Thank you, Sabrina. So what we're seeing, for those of you who find the chat too small to read, I had a great breakout with Charmaine and Ruby, and we talked about healthcare, cost of living, downtown issues. We've got passion for voter education. Carmen heard Bill's commitment to doing work in the community, Faye, clean air. I talked about universal preschool, systemic oppression in education, well-paid teachers, safer neighborhoods, clean food. Someone else likes universal preschool, healthcare, housing. So these are all important issues, and we're going to take some of the issues that came up from these conversations and also past conversations at Berkeley Reads and Second Start, and just show you how, next slide, the issues that you care about relate to the candidates. Remember how Taru said on your ballot, you'll be seeing candidates for elected office and propositions and local ballot measures. And so we're going to take an example here, and Rasanya is going to help me because the first issue that we're going to look at is libraries. Because every time I have the opportunity to work with tutors and learners, they so appreciate libraries. So let's look at the next slide, because Sabrina said, you know, well, how do libraries get their support? And so Rasanya, I don't, if you want to take the first part of this, because we chose your city logo as this example.
Yes, well, you know, we all can say that we all agree that that's one of our choices or concern is the libraries, keeping them open, keeping them funded. So libraries get funded from the city or the county, because we have some in city and county, and then state government and federal government.
And it's not just one of those, it's a combination of all of those, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great. So another issue, Faye, as have many of the people on the call, like Alma and others, and Rasanya, have been advocates for adult literacy, but Faye and Carmen are going to tell us a little bit about how that fits with government.
Carmen, you go ahead and start with our conversation, and then that'll segue into this. Where's Carmen?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Yes,
can hear you.
Carmen, we can hear you. Thank you.
So Faye and I have been working for 7 years together. And while we're not discussing the politics of this election specifically, we are addressing many of the concerns through the work that we do with books, newspaper articles, concerns during the years. And I think that working together on a weekly basis has definitely improved or brought her critical thinking to a very high level, so that when she opens up that, you know, election booklet, she's going through very, very well prepared because of the conversations I think that we've had and the constant, you know, weekly commitment that we both have to this. So this is what I would like to say about that.
So I would say what the literacy and the community and the libraries have brought me to come out to use my voice, and I have had the opportunity to be in places I would never ever dream, which took me from the local, which was Berkeley and Berkeley Reads. I've had had gone to the state to talk to the legislators at the state level, and had the opportunity to be a president of a national organization for adult learners united to educate, and also have the opportunity to speak with, he's retired now, my then congressperson, and then the Secretary of Education, who was appointed by President Obama. Never, ever, ever to dream that this little girl here would get that opportunity. But through the Easy Voter Guide is what really just opened up doors for me, because I did not know how to vote or anything like that. And so I'm just a real big advocate now of how important it is for you to use your voice. Yes, you can get help from someone else, but for you to use your voice to be a part of a citizen and a good part of your community.
And the same theme of what are the different levels of government, Rasanya hosted at Second Start the community talk conversations, and housing was the #1 issue that those students and some tutors helped address. And if we go to the next slide, you're going to see a pattern. Housing is a complicated issue. Where do we get money to pay for housing? What levels of government are making decisions that make it easier or more difficult for there to be housing in a community that people can afford? And so there are decisions being made at the national, it's called federal government, over there on the right, the state government, and also locally. And here we've got an example that it might be the city of San Jose, or it might be the county of Los Angeles. So wherever you are, what is your city? What is your county? And we all share the same state government. And so you might hear, oh, well, the city council made this decision. Or you might hear, oh, that the state law passed that's going to affect housing. Or you might have heard of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. What is HUD doing? They're in DC. So all of these different entities are making decisions all the time that affect us. And the idea of sharing this is not to overwhelm you with all of those levels, but to let you know you can choose which doorway in. But through Faye's experience and the experience of other students, they've had the ability to interact with the decision makers at these levels. And I think we'll take the next slide. So these are the basic levels. The federal in Washington, D.C. is where they meet. The state in Sacramento where they meet. We have 58 counties. So you each have a different county and then your city. And I'm going to let William take the next slide. And William Cooley is on the Common Knowledge team and co-captain of editing the Easy Voter Guide. And he's going to help us understand how these pieces fit together.
Thanks, Susan. As Susan and everyone has just said, that whenever we think about any issue, we're thinking about across these levels, right? So at the federal level, the state level, at the county level, and at the city level. And one of the great things is that when it comes to election time, we're able to hear from and get a little bit more visibility from folks at all of those different levels. So you may see advertisements, right? Of course, for president, that's one of the most common, one that we're all pretty aware of. But all the way down to your local city council races, to your county board of supervisors, everyone has plays a role in a lot of these topics and issue areas. And so when it comes to setting those policies, the two broad categories we just want to remind folks of are what we call the executive and the legislative. So within the executive, that refers to people like the president of the United States, the governor of your state, or possibly the mayor of your city. And when we talk about the legislative, that refers to people who are in the federal level at the U.S. Senate or U.S. House of Representatives, people at the state level, at the state Senate or state assembly, or at the board of supervisors at the county level. At the local level too, your legislative representatives are the city council. So when it comes to your ballot, you're going to see a lot of different folks across these areas. And the thing to understand is that all of them represent you, and that when it comes to voting, you want to be thinking about those issues that you care about and how these folks are, as I think was it Faye maybe previously said, how they're putting your issues first, right? Do they care about the same things you care about? How are they talking about those topics?
Thank you. So now here we come back. Now that we have a little bit more background about the different levels of government, I think we're going to take a visit to the Voters Edge site live. I believe William was going to let us just take a quick peek at that. And for speed, maybe William will put in his address and just.
I had an address queued from.
Let's use Rasania's. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have Rasania's address, but this is from downtown Oakland, and it's got a much better, easier. Voters Edge is a little bit cleaner than mine in Sonoma. I have fewer people on the ballot, but that's an important thing to note, which is that when you put in your address, you're going to want to compare that, of course, right to the ballot that you've received in the mail. Voters Edge is really accurate, and it's going to include pretty much all the races that are on there. But every community is different. So you may have different city council members, different representatives on yours than what your neighbor or friend might see.
And so if you just want to scroll down, then you can help people see that the House of Representatives, that's the Congress level, right? And then you see state Senate, state assembly, that's that state legislature. Those are the Sacramento people. this ballot has but we didn't talk about judges. We, in addition to the executive and the legislative, there's the judicial branch you've heard. But in terms of electing, we elect, in this case, there's a chance to look at a judge at the Superior Court level, and then you're down to your city and your school district level. So that just helps you. And but you've heard it before from Faye and everybody else. You don't have to vote on everything, but use Voter's Edge as a menu to see. And then just click through and do the compare. So we can take one of those races, and the thing that Taru likes so much is the compare. So just show them that. Great. And you see their priorities. How do their priorities match what you care about?
Oops. All right, we're going to try to pick someone who has entered their information.
Right. And
There we
it's
go.
voluntary, so not everybody has entered it. So we encourage you to try that. And then I also think Rasanya wants to clarify that if a law is passed by the state lawmakers, it's a law that applies to everything across the state. When the city council, they make laws that apply just to the city. So the city council of Oakland cannot make a decision that affects the folks over in Berkeley, right? So the Berkeley City Council has different rules than the Oakland City Council. And so that's why you might have, you know, back in the day when plastic bags were being banned, you know, it's like it first took hold city by city until it was a statewide. So you just need to know what level of government is making the decision. Now, in the interest of time, I think this is where we pledge to, you know, go over some of your voting questions. And people sent them in. We hope that some of this presentation has already answered some of the questions, but you can put it in the chat or raise your hand. And if I can't see it, Holly, I'll make sure we can see who has questions about voting based upon what we've covered so far.
Susan, one question that has come up already, and we can re-enter this in the chat, but just to remind everyone is if folks are looking for these resources, they can find them at the Key to Community website or at the Easy Voter website. So we can add those links back into the chat. But Susan, could you just give folks a quick overview of what the Key to Community website also includes if they're looking to see a certain type of resource?
That's great. I think it might be easier if we actually brought the site up, if that's available to you. I think that might be a good time. So the Key to Community website is a complement to the library literacy website. And we thank Amy and the California State Library for the toolkit and the instructional aids. And then the Key to Community website does just what Rasanya was talking about, is it puts voting education side by side with ways to think about you, your community, ways to learn about your community, whether it's before an election or after. You can see features down here about the grassroots leaders who've been working on this. We were lucky enough to do a couple of great events. You can read about that. You can sign up to get more information. And if we could just take a quick stroll over to, here we go, resources. We have toolkits if you happen to be a tutor or a trainer. In addition to the voter education toolkit, we've got news literacy resources. We've got dialogue and facilitation skills. So we're taking, a lot of this work was in partnership with libraries, but it's also drawn from other places that have been inspired by the approach that the learner leaders of Key to Community have used. I think let's go to the I know we have a slide on it, but let's just go to the voting page right now. And again, this is work that's been done collaboratively, but we had that talking about voting. We'll just scroll down, you know, why vote? We've got links to videos that the learners have done. Then about, slow down a second, on the sign up. If you you've signed up, that's great, but you may have friends who haven't signed up. And if you happen to be someone who isn't eligible, you can still encourage others. The ways to vote, if you want more detail about the 3 ways to vote that Faye and Taru talked about. And then as William said, the what is on my ballot. We did a whole workshop on the state propositions, the team did. You can find the video to that. You can find the Voter's Edge. We also have something you can see where every single newspaper in the state, what have they endorsed? And then this process we're in now, helping you give the tools to make your choices and vote. So if you just click on what is my ballot, I just want them to get a peek of what kinds of things are there. And you've got basics about candidates versus propositions, and just little bite-sized information. And again, this information has been co-designed by learners with help from tutors and coordinators. So we just want to encourage you to use this resource and to share it. And there's the workshop. So if you want more detail about all the propositions and links to other summaries and so forth. So what other questions do people have about getting ready to vote? One thing I'll tell you, a question we've had come up is, if you remember back in the primary, it mattered what party you voted with. So it's like, oh, if I'm registered with the Green Party, I can only vote for Green Party candidates for president. Everybody's going to have the same candidates on their ballot. It doesn't matter what party you're registered with. And it doesn't matter what party you're registered with, you can vote for any candidate for any party. Faye, Rasanya, what other tips do you want to make sure folks?
When you were talking about party, I was thinking about the Independent Party versus the American Independent Party. I mean, not American Party.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe they want to make sure that people understand about that. There are two different parties. And also, when they helping new voters, they need to read all the parties, because people come here, they either listen to Democratic or Republican, and they don't know there's a whole wealth, a whole other area right there of the political parties. So yeah, we probably want to make sure that happens.
You're absolutely right, and we can put the link to the political party descriptions. It's in the toolkit, but we can pull it out as a separate if we haven't already. And what Rasanya is saying is, one of the there's 6 qualified political parties in California, and one of them is called American Independent, which is different than being someone who chose not to register with a party. So I happen to be someone who doesn't, I'm not registered with any political party. That makes me called independent, but that is different than the American Independent Party, which actually has a very specific point of view. That may not be widely shared. So that's really helpful clarification, Rasanya.
Yeah, and also they have online quizzes for people that's unsure about where they stand, because people come here new. Just people. I should say the only reason why I said new people that's coming here, because I be around a lot of new citizens, and they automatically think they're Democrat because they feel like financially it's for poor people or whatever. It's for the people, you know, for the people, whatever that means to them. And I actually sat with my husband going over what he believed in, and it wasn't in line with the Democratic Party, but he refused to go Republican. He refused it, but he's definitely more so have Republican views. So, you know, kind of, you know, be careful when you helping people sign up for their parties. Kind of give them, sit down and let's do an education there. Like, we don't believe in persuading somebody of either or, but it's about informing a person. Let them make an informed, clear decision.
Excellent. So
I just want to say, I want to say,
let's stay. That's great.
I want to say that the Easy Voter Guide is in 5, I think it's 5 or 6. It's in different languages. It's not just English. There are different languages, so everybody can be a part of it. Susan, as we go through this here, I would just like at this point, because we have just a few minutes for Ask Holly, if she would put up the question that I asked, and we could
Great,
do that.
I appreciate, we want to do that. And while we do that, we've got a great question from Sabrina, but I also wanted to just, Faye, if you don't mind, just because with a few minutes left, we told people to bring their paper and markers. So if you did bring your paper and a marker and you want to make a sign just like Faye and Rasan and Carmen did, we're going to let people hold up their signs with their issues. So Ruby had an issue about healthcare and Charmaine had her issue. If you want to write that right now, and then I just want to answer Sabrina's question about what happens if I register to vote later than October 19th. People can register up until election day. You just won't get mailed the ballot in the mail. You will have to vote in person, and that's fine. So yes, Faye, please, let's, so if you've got the paper and the marker, let's find out who's here.
If you would just mark what part you're here, we can see who's here. Okay? Thank you.
Almost everybody.
Okay.
We're very close.
Just want to know how did we do, you know, how did,
Yeah, Faye, that's a
how did
great.
this come, how did this come together party work?
So I think I have everybody voting, so I'm going to end the poll and share.
Faye, what do you see?
40% learners, 30% tutors, and 30% coordinators. Wonderful. Good mixture.
Great.
Thank you.
So I think, shall we go to slide 35 and Linda?
Hi, here we go again. This is the important part. I know it's important in our community. Spread the word in your community. All the information you have, all your resources, all your connections, share these voting resources across your program, your library's websites, your newsletters, your email lists, at curbside when people are coming to pick up their books. Plan virtual, a lot of Zooming. Let's talk about voting sessions. Invite your community partners and social service agencies. I use the email trees that I have and my phone trees. Include voting as a topic in regular story times, family literacy activities, conversation clubs, and adult services. Integrate it. This is your venue to integrate the voting topic into the themes of any of your services within your library community, your library internal programming. It's a great time to do this right now.
Great. I think Rasanya and slide 37.
Yeah, so this is close to the end. How our issues relate to what we can do in addition to the government. Now, I heard this the other day. If you're not engaging, if you're not doing no engagement in your community, I don't know if voting is the only answer, is the main goal here. Voting, what we're doing here, we also teaching you how to teach somebody how to vote. And for learners, we also teaching you how to vote. But that's not the end goal for us. The end goal is to help you, direct you, and to help you think about the process of choosing what you care about, and then moving from there to engaging in it. Meaning, you have the power to change. You have the power to change community. You have power to change where you at. So we want you to think about from this time forward, is how do you plant yourself into them community? Where do you need to go volunteer at? What tables you need to be sitting at to discuss it? Because that's where real change happens. So we're hoping that you make a promise after you leave this meeting, tutors, coordinators, and learners. Because if we're not at the table together, this is not gonna change. If we not doing this together, ain't nothing gonna change. You're just gonna go to the poll put that paper in the mail, and that'll be it. But you got nobody to blame but yourself if you're not going to be a part of the solution. And we have to be a part of the solution. We got to be engaged with each other, learning and listening to each other, and then working together. So we asking you today to make a commitment, know what you care about, and move forward from there.
So William, while Holly brings up the poll, we could stop the share and see if anybody has an issue. Oh, look, we've got, some of us have got our, so if you had a chance to write your issue down, let's hold it up to the screen, and Holly's gonna run the well, let's actually get a screenshot before.
Oh, wait a minute.
Mine's is back there. See, mine's is in back of me.
All right.
Oh, well. Take my other picture and put it in. I'm sorry.
I know we've got the magic of
Yeah.
All right. So,
Yes.
Holly, I think we're ready for the poll.
On.
So, Linda, do you want to let people read their choices, or maybe you can't see it? We've got, check all of them that apply. Maybe you haven't registered, so you'd sign up to get a ballot. You're going to look at what's on your ballot. You're going to learn more about an issue. You're going to talk to other people about voting. And as Rasania said, maybe you're going to find a group that cares about the same issues as you do. So let's see. You can check all of those that apply.
We have about 65% of everybody voting.
What next steps are you taking away?
So while they doing that, I can also say, so once you learn about the issue you care about, then you can see, really get a clear pictures on the candidates and the proposition that actually coincide with what you care about.
So here are the results.
Great. So we see that 3/4 of us are ready to learn more about an issue, talk to other people about voting. Almost 11 out of 19 of us are going to find a group that cares about the same issues. Over half are going to look at the ballot. And Faye, we're just a minute over time, but I just, Faye and Rasania, do you have a final? Well, I want to see what was your issue?
Oh, I'm sorry. My issue and my concern was how to get with the quarantine, how do we help the seniors go out and vote that want to vote and that are with disabilities or other problems? How do we help them get connected to be able to help get them to go out and vote? And connecting in with our young adults that are ready to vote. Those are my concerns, and connecting the two, and showing the young adults, you're voting for the first time, making your voice count and be heard.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's just the point that Faye was making about all doing it together. So Faye, any final comments to the people?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming. This has been kind of a dream of mine, of the coordinators, the tutors, and the learners to come together. And I think we had, I appreciate you all coming. And the most important thing is that it's about voting. I remember when I didn't know how to vote, didn't know where to sign my name, but it is so important. And at this time, we just hope that you will take your ballots and take it serious and vote before the 3rd and get it in. Thank you so much for coming. You've been to my house 3 or 4 times. So I haven't offered you any coffee, cake, or food, but eat what you have at your house and think that I gave it to you, okay? Thank you, and thanks to my tutor, Carmen. I love her. I love Linda for helping me to give me the best that she has in her program.
Good tutors.
Let's
Thank you,
stop
Faye.
this
Thank
share
you,
so we
Linda,
can
for
pay
bringing
it
us
back.
together.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you, Linda, for bringing Faye and me together.
Thank you.
So William,